the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone of the church. Jesus chose the apostles to further reveal the mystery of the church. And finally, God provided various other prophets within the church while the New Testament was still being written. This is the foundation of the church, according to Paul in Ephesians 2:20. The apostles and prophets, with Christ as the chief cornerstone.
Okay, hold on. So they're saying that the prophets mentioned here are, quote unquote, various other prophets within the church while the New Testament is still being written? Really? This is a very odd way to interpret the text. Let's let him finish the thought.
It doesn't make any sense to think that the foundation of a building goes all the way to the roof. It's the foundation. This is an historical assertion that the apostolate was limited to the foundation period of church history.
Paul does not say in Ephesians 2:20 that the church is built on the foundation of apostles and prophets. He says that it's laid on the foundation of the apostles and the prophets. That's a big difference. He's using the definite article there. That means he's talking about a very specific group of apostles and prophets, right? Apostles are just messengers, sent ones. They said it earlier, even the Roman Empire had apostles. But when we talk about the apostles, we're talking about 12 very special men chosen to be with Jesus from the beginning of his ministry and to be his special representatives. And you could say the same thing about prophets. Prophets are just people called to speak prophetically. But the prophets are a very special group of prophets. This isn't various other prophets within the church while the New Testament is still being written. These are the prophets of the Old Testament. And, in fact, it's even more than that, because saying the prophets is kind of like shorthand for talking about the whole prophetic revelation of the Old Testament, which is often referred to in the Bible as the prophets. Jesus said, I didn't come to abolish the law and the prophets. What's he talking about? Obviously, that's the Old Testament. Or he says, do unto others what you would have them do unto you, for this is the law and the prophets. What's he talking about there? Not various other prophets within the church while the New Testament is being written. 2 Peter 3:2, I want you to recall the words spoken in the past by the holy prophets. Again, super obvious. He's talking here about the prophets of old. And, the whole thing just makes sense if you use your brain. Think about it. Paul is describing the people of God as a temple with Jesus as the cornerstone. And then you have the prophets on the one hand, the whole revelation of God through Israel's prophets, what we would think of as the Old Testament. And then on the other hand, you have the apostles, those that have been tasked with bringing this new revelation about Jesus. That is a beautiful and symmetrical picture, and frankly, it's pretty obvious when reading the text. But saying that he's talking about various other prophets within the church while the New Testament is being written, that is a classic example of eisegesis. And the only reason they're saying that is so they can make the subsequent claim that as a result of their foundational role, now all prophets have been relegated to the past. No, the prophets were foundational, but that in no way, shape, or form implies that people today can't speak prophetically. And by that same token, the apostles were foundational, but that does not mean that God cannot call apostles today.